Welcome to this latest edition of the Real Deal Podcast on this 8th of June 2022. I'm your host, Real Gerald Quinn. As always, on this either Wednesday or Thursday, I am joined by one Robert Sapp. Mr. Sapp, how you doing this evening?
Doing pretty good. Good to be with you.
So we have gotten to the point as we are couple hours away, 2 hours away from Game 3 of the NBA Finals. The good thing about it being spaced out with these days is the fact that it kind of obviously for player rest, you got some guys banged up, but also for us, we can kind of like really dissect the series without it moving, seeming like normally we probably would have been maybe three games into it. So that's a good thing about how this series, the pace of this series. Of course, this series, big game three, like the three previous series for Boston, all were tied at one apiece. I don't think either one of us is surprised that the series is tied at 1-1. I think both of us fully expected it to be 1-1. I think I definitely had the games.
Yeah, we would have flipped. Yep,
yeah.
Exactly.
Had the games flipped.
I had them flipped.
Expected Golden State to win game 1 and lose game
2. Yep.
And in essence, the series has been determined by two quarters. You had game 1, the fourth quarter, Boston goes 40-16, hits just everything, couldn't miss a shot. Golden State's in shock, and there you go. And in game 2, it was the third quarter. Where Golden State went to work, and then this time there was no recovery from Boston. At the end of the third quarter, as they were down by 23 points, and that was that. Steph Curry doesn't play in the fourth quarter of game 2. They were able to kind of cruise to a 19-point victory. A lot of things I still don't have a great feel for this series. It being only 2 games, there's still a number of there's still some adjustments that I'm sure that will be made. But I think that this will be a very telling game. Game 3s with the series tied are always kind of like, okay, I think this game will give us a sense of where this series could possibly go.
It would stun me if this game is not super competitive.
Yes.
It would stun me.
I fully
how it goes, I agree with you. This one's up in the air. Because the great thing about, like as you were saying, the great thing about this time is, they've had a lot of time to ruminate, especially the losing team. Ruminate, watch tape. So, you expect the home team that lost to come out and throw the first haymaker,
right?
And then you expect Golden State to respond to that. They're not a mentally weak team by any stretch of the imagination, so you expect them to respond to that. And then, like you said, these third and fourth quarters have been so interesting. We know what Golden State does in the third quarter. Golden State, that's their quarter. That's what they do. And so you would expect a haymaker from Golden State at that point, and then it's the response by Boston, and that's just kind of like the ebb and flow. That's kind of expected, but then there'll be many ebbs and flows within that. Is my anticipation of this. I would traditionally, and I probably do in this game, lean towards the team that just lost,
right, and
coming home, but Boston has been so wonky at home.
But yeah, Boston's been average. They're 5-4 at home. They've been a different team at home. Like they have not played well at home. They've lost multiple games in the last 2 series after sweeping the Nets. They lost 2 games against Miami, 2 games against Milwaukee, 2 games against Miami, including a closeout game in game 6 when we both thought the series was dead. When they came back, when they took game 5 from Miami and came back home at up 3-2. So they, for whatever reason, who knows, that they just have not been the same team at home. They look way more comfortable on the road. And we know Golden State historically holds the NBA record for most wins in
Yeah, they're fine.
consecutive playoff
Yeah,
series. They've
no,
won
they fine.
27 series with at least one road win.
Yeah,
So
they fine. They're fine. That's not even a thing. That's why this makes this so That's why it's not easy to call, even with what I've traditionally felt throughout the series.
Right.
Because of those factors. Golden State's 100% comfortable on the road. They're fine. And Boston's so weird on the road in this series that you can't trust. I mean, at home in this series, you can't completely trust that they're coming at home. And they've also gone win-loss a lot of different times as well. And so this
Boston has,
win category, best 2 out of 3 intangible points. I probably that's why I lean Boston in this. But if Golden State wins this game, that is no shock at all. Not even close to that. So I would probably say I have Boston winning a very, very competitive, very tight one. Maybe even a little bit reminiscent of game 1 against the Nets last second. We're very much do an overtime game in these playoffs. We very much do. So that would also be real nice to see. But yeah, so I think I would lean Boston in a close one for all the reasons that I stated. But no surprise to Golden State win at all.
A couple of interesting numbers. So game 1, the difference between game 1 and game 2 was very simple. Golden State defensively was a different team. So game 1, they contested 49 of 85 shots, 53%, which is 57%. Only 57% of shots. Boston had 23 wide open threes. Game 2, Golden State contests 78% of Boston shots. So defensively, it was a different ball game. And I went back and watched that game 1, especially that fourth quarter. They made them. They were getting. Boston got wide open looks in that fourth quarter. I mean, practice jump shots. So Golden State, from that standpoint, tighten up the series, tighten up the defense. Even as Boston was making threes in the first half of game 2, they couldn't miss it. The threes kept them in, but they were shooting like 28% on 2-point shots at one point. Like in halftime, Boston was 10 for 19 from 3-point range and 7 for 28 from 2-point range in the first half of game 2. Once they cooled down from 3-pointers, then it was like, okay, then they struggled to score. And that, of course, was spearheaded by one Draymond Green. Let's put all the antics and all the bullshit aside for a second. But with Draymond Green, to getting people's faces and the talking shit, the rest. Let's put that aside for a second. The bottom line is he really controlled that game with just how he guarded. So Jaylen Brown was 4 for 12 when guarded by Draymond Green in that game. Players are shooting 10% less their regular field goal percentage in these playoffs when they're guarded by Draymond Green. So, he got into their heads a bit with the Celtics. He kind of tried to turn up the volume of the intensity, things like that. But he guarded at a very high level during that game and really got them going, really got them spearheaded the defense, their defensive effort in holding Boston to 88 points. His antics and stuff like that will get the attention, but the bottom line is that his defense was spectacular in that game too. Which are you more concerned about for both teams? Are you more concerned about the fact that Boston has been outscored 73-35 in the third quarters of these games, or are you more concerned about Klay Thompson? Klay Thompson in the first 2 games, 13 points, 30% from the field, only 26% from the 3-point line.
The short answer to that question is neither. The longer answer to that question is I think this is a series that will change from game to game. and the dynamics will change from game to game. And so what worries me most for Boston side is that they are making errors that I know that the coaches have been harping on. And so the other difference in that game, too, was the turnover.
Yes, that I mean that was yeah.
And you would
Live ball turnovers at that.
play from Golden State, and so you can't have that sloppy play on your side because that's the thing you're trying to capitalize on. So that has to be buttoned up. That has to be completely buttoned up on your side. They turn the ball over that many times, they lose the series. It's just that simple. We don't even have to have any more deeper conversation than that. So that, and then that third quarter troubled me because I like overarching Boston. You win one game on other teams on court. That's the goal.
Right.
You hit the goal.
Split the difference. Yeah,
that's what you want. But that third quarter troubled me because they were coached to come out and play hard, aggressive, deep, and for them to be so discombobulated by Golden State's offense and what Draymond Green was doing defensively, because nothing that they were doing was something different than they've ever done. Like they've always done this. Draymond Green's always played like this.
Yes.
And so nothing was different. Like this is how they win games. And so to be impacted at in such an impactful way, on known quantities and known habits, it just makes me worried. That concerns me. And then on Golden State side, there's not a lot, honestly, that really concerns me on Golden State side. Klay's a streaky shooter. That's why he's not Steph, because he's more streaky. It's just that simple.
Yeah.
And so the thing with Klay is that he can take off offensively in any given quarter. The thing that's been more concerning is the individual defensive prowess of players who's supposed to give them big time offensive minutes. I do think
Jordan
that,
Poole.
Yep. That I do think can be continuously exploited, and over the time of a series, it is factoring itself heavily with Jordan Poole right now, but I think that also could play a part with Klay as well. You're expending so much energy on the defensive end, and if you're offensive at that high level, that can contribute in. So I think that could be a sign that the offensive game plan of the Celtics is working really well, and that it's wearing some of these high volume offensive players down because they have to guard so intensely defensively. So that's the flip side of that defensive argument. Yes, Golden State stepped up because they had to. If they didn't, they would lose.
Right.
But how does that stepping up defensively alter their offensive game? As of right now, unclear, but that's a bit of a concern for me. So that's what I would.
The second score is concerning for me for Golden State. So right now, Steph, who clearly has been the best player in the series for these first two games, is at 31 and a half, 45 from the field, 46 from the three, 81 from the line. He struggled from the line throughout the course of the playoffs for whatever reason. So Steph is being Steph. Like, he's doing what he's supposed to do.
You said that's what you wanted to see. You're seeing
fine.
it.
Yeah, Steph is. I have no through the first two games. Yeah, he's playing like a superstar. But I actually have been fine with the Celtics defense on Steph minus the first quarter of game one.
Yeah, that was the only player. Yeah, that was the only like real mental meltdown.
Yes. So outside that, Steph has been working for his offense, and he's a great player. He's gonna make some tough shots. So like, I'm fine. Like, Steph is gonna be Steph. Right now, their second scorer is their second leading scorer is Andrew Wiggins at 15 and a half. Right. And that, to me, I don't think that can last from a standpoint of what I don't expect Wiggins to go too much above that with his defensive assignment for the fact that he has to guard Tatum and sometimes even Jaylen Brown. So I don't. Wiggins is not going to have 25, 30-point games. It's just not going to happen. So to me, you bring up Jordan Poole, despite what happened in game 2, he got hot at the end of the third quarter, but for the most part, he's been a non-factor. Like that, it's like he hit three threes during the
Those are
blowout.
front running points.
Yeah, he had about those. No, those don't count to me. Those are front running points. Yeah, you hit 3 threes in the quarter, back-to-back threes at the end of the quarter. The game was decided. So
yeah,
he has not done anything in meaningful minutes.
Nope. He's been the target.
And he's a liability defensively. Yeah. And that we will talk more later, just tease it a little bit about the importance moving forward in terms of the NBA of the two-way player. I think it's really been exploited to a high degree in these playoffs. And what
I learn, you gotta learn.
You gotta play both ways. Like you have to.
You got to.
So that's why, and we didn't bring him up, but that's why the Gary Payton the second coming back was big, huge for them defensively.
I underestimated how big that was. I'm going.
No, it really was. It was. Yeah, I didn't know what he could give him. I didn't think he played way better than I thought. This dude ain't played in a month. He made an immediate impact. I mean, immediate.
Gary Payton's my favorite player. I'm just like, I feel like. But even with that, I'm like, I feel like they're making now. I don't know if he's gonna make that much of an impact. Boy, was I wrong.
No, he was all over the place. He was fantastic. The athleticism, the on the ball, like he was all over the place. So I think that I think defensively, Golden State will be fine defensively. Like you got him, you got Looney, who's played well. You got Draymond. Curry, that is not great, but Curry is not a pushover anymore. Like he's not Trae Young. So defensively, I'm not concerned about Golden State. But to me, it's offensively. Like who is going to be that consistent second scorer with Klay Thompson struggling? Now, to your point, Klay Thompson could have 30 tonight. Neither one of us would be surprised. Like that's Klay Thompson. But I think I do think Boston clearly has more of those two-way players on their team. Like they're loaded with those guys that can go both ways and play both ways at a relatively high level. So that, and also with Boston getting to concerns too, injuries and the health. Like
that is a huge one.
And two people in particular, Robert Williams and Marcus Smart. Robert Williams couldn't move the last guy. I mean, Robert Williams couldn't he was moved what happens with Robert Williams, he'll have these spurts where he blocks a shot, but then it's 6 or 7 minutes where he can barely he's not the same player.
There you go.
So him finishing the series concerns me.
Yep.
And Marcus Smart as well, to a lesser extent, but still like that ankle, that quad, luckily, for them, these games are going to be spread out. The only 2 games they're going to be every other day is going to be today and Friday. Everything else is going to be spread out a couple of days with the travel and what have you.
See, here's the deal with players like that. And this is why you're 100% right in terms of like, can they even, especially Robert Williams, can they even make it through the series? Because their value is that they have to maximize their motors and their physicality. That's their value.
Yes.
Yeah. They're not valuable. They're not starters if they can't do that.
No.
And so what you end up having in that situation is, and this leads to that inconsistency that we're talking about with Boston, is that you have people who are in starter positions who cannot complete their roles because they're not at full tilt self. They don't have any other parts of the game that's supposed to maximize in part. It's like you take shooting away from Steph, it's a wrap. It's just a wrap.
Right.
That is the part of the game that makes them special. So the thing that makes these guys starters and competitive starters is their high motor and their physicality. Yep. And that's the exact thing that's going to get them re-injured over and over and over and over again because they have to play that way. There's no other option.
Yeah, yeah,
I was very concerned. That's a
and
great point.
yeah,
Very
and Marcus, and with Smart, like you said, Martin, he only knows one way.
That's his value. Yes.
That's it. Yeah, he only knows one way. There's no dialing back. There's no no, that's just not how he plays. Like I said, that is
Jimmy Butler can't achieve superstar status. Like he can't get to that level unless he's being a dog all the time.
yeah.
Like you just can't get there. These guys are not consistent everyday starters if they can't play their full 100% physical game. They just aren't. They don't have enough other parts of their games to rely on consistently outside of that motor, that hustle, that defensive physicality that the Celtics have built this year off of. So that's what makes it, like you said, they can give you spurts, but you're in the finals. You're going up against the Warriors. The Warriors come at you all game long.
Yeah.
So it's concerning. It just is. It's a fact. It's a reality.
And so I think this is going to be the type of series where, like, again, I still picked Golden State in 7. Wasn't feeling good about that after game 1. I tell you, I you know me, I normally don't overreact to games, even when the home team loses game 1. I've seen it 1,000 times, but woo, the way that game, when I went back and watched that quarter, I was like, even after the second viewing, I was just like, what happened? Like, what? How did this game turn so quick?
That was a confusing one.
I mean,
all of us long-time NBA fans are confused and perplexed by that game.
I was like, what what did I really see this in a finals game?
Nope.
Like what? What?
Nope.
Like, did I really see what? So I think we're gonna be saying, like, I think each game, of course, is gonna take on its own entity. Each, like, we'll look at each game and each result and be like, oh, so and so has the advantage. No, so and so has the advantage. I think we're gonna be on the seesaw. That's how I really get that sense. We're gonna be on a seesaw, injuries withstanding, and I still think that this is destined to be a 7-game series. I really do.
It really looks like it. It does. I know I said 6, but
right, but 6 is still competitive. I mean, 6 is still.
This has 7 written all over. It really does. It really does.
And
as of right now,
you think about
as of right now, it definitely feels like a 7-game series.
Think about how competitive the playoffs have been this year, right? So you only had one sweep in the entire playoffs. Brooklyn Nets, only team that couldn't win a game.
And they tried.
They tried.
That was a competitive sweep.
It was a close sweep.
Lay down. They didn't pull a game 7 Suns.
No, they didn't. I think I actually rather get swept. I'd rather get swept than pull a game 7 Suns, to be honest with you. I actually rather get swept. At home, yeah.
That's one of the most embarrassing performances
ever.
And honestly, like we talked about it, NBA games, that's the most embarrassing performance.
Yeah. So we only had one sweep the entire playoffs. We've had 4 games, 3 game 7s, Boston, Miami, Milwaukee, Miami, the Phoenix, Dallas. So far, he had 3 games. Matter of fact, the Dallas Phoenix thing was so bad you forget that the series went to 7. You forget that was actually in game 7.
That's what made it so horrible.
That's how bad it was.
So horrible. Like, who plays like this in a game 7?
Yeah. So we've had 3 game 7s already. And again, we talked about this over the course of the season, just like the competitive, how balanced the league is right now from a competitive standpoint. Like, it is. I mean, Boston has a lot of talent. We know has a lot. They're stacked they have a lot of top end talent. We know what Golden State has as far as the whole sum is better than the whole is better than the sum of the parts. So if I know I butchered that, but we know the championship pedigree that they have, even though they're not what it it's not what it was in a couple of years ago, especially those super teams with Durant. But still, I mean, you still have 3 future Hall of Famers on the roster. There's still talent there, and Jordan Poole coming off the bench. But that it just has a seesaw type feel to it. I don't ever feel like we will ever say that one of these teams is in complete control of the series. Like I don't think that I just don't think that I don't see that being the case, to be honest with you. So thought about this what was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday. So Pat Riley, right? The great Pat Riley uh comes out with his annual you know I'm still the man, that annual end of the year press conference, challenging the media, says, I could do more push-ups than you at 77. I'm still, still trying to win these championships. And during his final press conference, end of the year press conference, he challenges one of his players, Tyler Hero, and basically says, look, you want to start for us, if you want to take your game to another level, you got to play defense. Period. Like that is what it is. And it made me think about just the importance of the two-way player, especially in 2022. Like, so Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero basically were non-factors in the Boston series. I know Tyler Hero was nicked up, but even before he got hurt, he was a non-factor.
Nobody's worried about Tyler Hero.
No, not at all. And Duncan Robinson could.
What's the concern of mine? I don't give a damn if he was fully healthy.
Right. No.
I'm not concerned about Tyler Hero.
No, at all. And Duncan Robinson couldn't get on the floor.
For the exact reason you're about to talk about.
Yeah. Duncan Robinson couldn't get on the floor. Mind you, they played Duncan Robinson. They just gave Duncan Robinson $90 million a couple years ago. So if I told you like 2 years ago, right? If I asked you this question during the bubble, because that's when Tyler Hero exploded, right? During the bubble, he probably was their third best player behind Jimmy Butler and Bam during that playoff run, or maybe fourth, because Dragic was great too before he got hurt. But he was a rookie, and he's going against the Celtics, shooting the lights out. Came back down to earth in the finals, which is fine, rookie. But if I had told you 2 years ago, who would you rather have moving forward, Tyler Hero or Andrew Wiggins? You would have laughed me. You would have been like, "Is that a real question?" Like people would have laughed at that, even the thought that could even be in question. As we stand here, June 8th, 2022, I don't think there's any question that I'd much rather have Andrew Wiggins moving forward than Tyler Hero. Like I like, it's not even a debate. Like, for what Andrew Wiggins does, he can get you 15 to 20 points, can guard anybody on the perimeter, anybody. Like, that value in today's NBA is priceless, absolutely priceless. And there's just not that many guys that can do that. Like, the Celtics have about 5 of them. I feel like when you talk about Smart, Brown, Tatum, even to a Horford, even the point guard Derek White, like they have them in. The Celtics have more of them. They have the most out of anybody in the league in terms of those guys that can defend and will not and don't and also can do damage on the offensive end. It won't hurt you on offense where you're playing 4-on-5. But that is, if you're drafting, if you're friends that's drafting, if you are somebody that's building, you have to think about, can this guy play in the playoffs? Both ways. Can he, we know the regular season, anybody can play in the regular season. Like, anybody can score. You playing against some bad teams, you catching teams 4 games in 5 nights, so on and so on. The game is it's nowhere near as intense or as physical as a playoff. So that's a whole nother ball game. You need that depth anyway to carry you through the season. But if I'm going to pay a guy, if I'm going to, like, Tyler Hero's going to be up for extension, I'm looking at Tyler Hero right now. Like, should we just package him and put him in a package in trade to try to upgrade our roster? Like, why? I'm not making the same mistake with Tyler Hero as they made with Duncan Robinson. from in terms of that high extent, that contract extension. But what are your thoughts?
So like the biggest thing is that the NBA is going through a transition right now.
Right.
As you were talking, the thought that kept coming to my mind is the NBA is becoming more and more like the NFL day by day. And what I mean by that is that like because I was listening to you talking and a thought came to my mind, when are they going to start running like specific offensive and defensive packages?
Right.
Because the pendulum had shifted so far on the 3 versus the 2, right? Like it shifted so far. And so as per usual, when the rules and everything favor the offense, it just takes a second for defenses to catch up. And so what is the antidote to that? If everybody's gonna be shooting threes all the time, what's the antidote to that? The antidote is you're going to need a lot of people with the ability to be able to switch and guard various different shooters. For lack of a really inarticulate way of saying that, or a really simplistic way of saying that. Or find a simplistic way of saying that. And so you have that as the reaction, but of course, basketball is not football. You don't get to have packages out there. So of course you need the people out there to be able to put the ball in the hoop. And so as this shift is developing, you're like you were talking about playoffs. I was actually thinking like way lower in terms of the skill sets that need to be built in honestly the AAU, like that's what everybody like, that is where the churn and the transition is happening. Even younger than that, but I can't even, that's even outside of my depth of knowledge. I mean, completely outside of my depth of knowledge. And I know very little about the whole AAU scene, but what I do know, I know about the transition and what teams are looking for at the higher levels, college, the high schools that churn out McDonald's All-Americans, whatever they're called now. And then ultimately the NBA, and then ultimately winning franchises, and ultimately championship franchises. That talent level grows and grows and grows. It gets more refined and refined as you go up the levels. But essentially, what the shift is that's happening that you're talking about is that because so many players were becoming multiple offensively, you needed a reaction to that. And the reaction was you needed people who could defend multiple positions. And of course, in basketball, that's going to be, you need to be long and lengthy to be able to do that, and quick and athletic to be able to do that. And then you add scoring on that. I keep hearing this over and over again. You need long, lengthy, and scoring and athletic. I'm like, yeah. Everybody needs that. You're right. Everybody needs that. The problem is there's just not a lot of that to go around, and it used to be more rare and rare in past years, and it's getting more plentiful as the times that are going on. And so to your point, that is going to be what teams in the NBA are looking for, and that better be what colleges are developing, and that better be what high schools are developing, and that better be what parents are challenging their, like how that whole process goes. And so it's going through a shift. You're absolutely right. This is going to be the athlete du jour, so to speak, for the next few years.
Yeah, I just thought about something. So there was a point where I would say about 10 years ago, maybe less, about 10 to 12 years ago, where you had guys that classic back to the back center, right? Al Jefferson comes to mind. Like that, even Brook Lopez early in his career, right? Lived in the paint, big center, lived in the paint, could score, could play in the league, and not only play, could be, those guys were borderline all-stars per se. And then, the Golden State happened and just destroyed all that. Small ball, the space and the three-point shooting exploded, and those guys could no longer cover enough space to where, like, to your point, you need a athletic center, power forward, the Anthony Davis, Giannis, somewhere. Those are the highest level in terms of that, in terms of the power forward.
The ultimate. Yeah.
Right. But you need a guy, even you need a guy, you know who's great at it in watching this series? Kevon Looney. Like he is great at switching out on guards and not in to where he allows your defense not to be compromised. Not a super, and by the way, of course, not a star player or all-star or anything like that, but that is the baseline of the type of big man that you need. Defensively, especially defensively. Even I'm not even talking about the two-way aspect, but just covering covering that ground. But when I going back to my original point, those guys, the Al Jeffersons, those big lumbering centers got washed out. They got pushed out the league. You know who's about to get pushed out the league now that I can see coming? These spot up shooters.
Yep.
So like the Duncan Robinsons, where you need a lot of now, they're guys like if you can't somewhat put the ball on the floor, then it's gonna be hard. It's like these guys are more athletic. The wings are more athletic. Like just catching these catching, you're gonna have like a Dell Curry type release to survive. If you don't have a skill set that as a 3-point shooter to where you can put the ball, they at least somewhat put the ball on the floor. Like I would say the baseline for that is somebody like Joe Harris. Like Joe Harris is a great 3-point shooter, but he doesn't need a lot of space, but he can put the ball on the floor and get his shot somewhat. Now he's not a creator, but he's creative enough to get his own shot off putting the ball on the floor and shooting threes. That's the baseline. But the Duncan Robinsons, these dead spot up shooters, those guys are going to get washed out.
That's gone.
That's gone. They're like that work. That's great for college. There'll always be a place for those guys in college, the way the game is played. But in the NBA, nah. In high school, of course, high school and college, because the way the NBA is too athletic. It's too athletic. And again, we're looking at like if you want to compete for a championship, if you want, looking at these teams, and if you like all the championship caliber teams have these two-way guys, like Milwaukee when they're healthy. Middleton's not a great defensive player, but he's decent enough. Drew Holiday is one of the better two-way non-superstars that you have in the league. Like that guy can impact the game and score 10 points and impact the game with what he can do defensively and guard multiple positions. So all these teams that are legit title contenders have at least minimum 2 guys of that ilk. Memphis has enough to protect Jai from not being embarrassed, even though I think Jai is serviceable defensively, but he's so ridiculous offensively that it compensates for his, makes up for what he doesn't have is not defensively, and he doesn't hurt you defensively, by the way. But they have got, Jaren Jackson Jr. They have guys who are lower on the totem pole who play both ways, like Dylan Brooks, and even Bane, even a guy like Bane, like that guy, that's the baseline. Like he can put the ball on the floor and also defend. You will not get compromised with him defensively. That's the baseline. But even somebody like who used to play like a Kyle Korver, even like a JJ Redick couldn't play. He can't play right now. I mean, he's retired. He's going on the way to retirement. But even prime JJ Redick in NBA could not play right now, I feel, and be on a championship team. Yeah, he could play in the league, but in the finals or in a high intensity playoff game, nah. Nope. He's gonna be right sitting right next to Duncan Robinson. So it's gonna, to your point, it's gonna be interesting. I think defense is a mentality. So like that, I think depends on who drafts you and what have you. Like, if you go to Miami Heat, you have to play some defense. Like certain cultures, certain places you go, you're gonna have to defend. Golden State, you're gonna have to defend. Certain spots, you're gonna have to defend. But you made me think of something when you said in terms of offensively, yeah, like those days, that spot up shooter that day, we kind of saw that coming with the positionless basketball, and you got these guys who are tall like Giannis, able to put the ball on the floor. You got these 7-footers, 6'11", 6'10" dudes who are able to, Paul George is 6'9", they're able to handle the ball at a high level, put the ball on the floor. So yeah, you're gonna have to be a, you know, not only somewhat a two-way player, a decent two-way player, but you're going to have a skill set that includes just more than shooting. Like I think what happened to Rob too, we fell so much in love with the 3-point shot. It was like anybody who can shoot a three, okay, that guy must have value. So it was like we're gonna ignore the fact that you're not a great defender, ignore the fact that you can't get your own shot, ignore the fact that you need airspace to get a shot off, but you can shoot that three. So I think that was the allure and the poison somewhat of the 3-point shot. You know what I mean? Like it'd be like a speed receiver with like, yeah, you fast, but your hands are not the greatest. Like you actually need to catch the ball to be effective.
Well, yeah, the idea was to space the floor. Do you have a couple of superstars that can create?
Yep.
And that they would have space so that they would have space for that mid-range game if they wanted it, or if they collapsed on him, then he kick it out to a shooter, and that's why you had a bunch of shooters out there, because then that's how you put the defense in the bind. Defense is reactive. It's just that simple. They reactive. They get paid.
Yeah.
People get paid to think defensively too. It's just not as much of a thing in basketball as it is in let's say football. But remember when they started doing defensive coordinators and different whatever they call them in basketball, that didn't used to be a thing. Then it became a thing. That was a reaction to how inventive offenses was doing. That always happens. That's sports. That's the legacy of sports. Everything. And then the defenses have reacted. And so you're absolutely right. Like the only way that players like that can get on the court is honestly will honestly be in certain sets. But here's the trick about that. I think another thing that's been lost in the NBA over the years with the rise of super teams has been coaching. You're going to need some really creative coaching once the defense evens this thing out, which they are. You're gonna need team. You're gonna just need to do. I mean, I know it sounds crazy and corny, but you're gonna need to create your roster and build your team with a specific identity and philosophy in order to maximize the talents of all the different players on your roster. Because no, you can't have an entire team full of long, rangy defenders who can shoot the ball, rebound. No, you absolutely cannot, because that doesn't exist. That's not a thing. So in lieu of that, you have to go with certain philosophies. And the reason why the Celtics have been able to collect this is because they landed on this philosophy early.
Yes.
But they're not going to have a monopoly on it for long.
No, because those guys don't get paid.
Everything is a copy. They say about every league is a copycat league. Everything is a copycat.
Yep.
We want the latest, newest thing that everybody wants. We all it's copy. That's what we do as humans. So that looks successful. Oh, we doing that too. So best believe you're absolutely right. Even if you're a project, they're gonna go over the long rangy, for lack of better, we're just being very brief in these descriptions, no nuance in this. They're gonna go for the long rangy defender prospect right now more than the shooting prospect, just the shooter prospect.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just exactly where we are.
Yeah, they're gonna say, can you guard Jason Tatum? Period. Can you guard, Kevin Durant? Can you guard? Yeah. So that is the way that the league is going. Listen, I'm 100% for it. Like I think
defense matters.
Yes, it does. How about this? These are the two best defensive teams in the league.
They are.
So they
they are.
You got
it does. It does.
Gotta play a little defense. Gotta play a little defense.
Like half the game, as a matter of fact. So kind of like really matters. Like really matters.
Yeah. No.
So you should be able to do that too. To be called a professional basketball player. You really should.
So it'll be interesting to see again how the series plays out. We both think that this probably is going to go to 7, and that these games. I'll say this. I don't think that we will get the blowout. I don't think we're gonna get that tight. Like the Miami thing, where it's every like I don't. Yeah, I don't think we're. I think we're gonna. I think we're in for a couple close games here.
If
I
the
really do.
Celtics get smashed in the third quarter again,
That would be very concerning.
oh man, how do you say the coach's name? I don't want to mess it up.
Udoka.
Yes, we'll kill them all. Like, there will be no more games because he's gonna massacre his team. So I think I'm being facetious, but it's just like it can't happen because you'll lose. It's that simple. So if it does happen, it's probably going to happen more Golden State's way, and that means the Celtics are losing the series big time because it just can't happen. And I don't know how many. I don't. Golden State's just not built as a team with a team that's just not overwhelmingly offensive, and it's hard. You can't overwhelm Golden State offensively, honestly, to just create the number of blowouts there. So I just think the style of play the Celtics have to play in order to keep it competitive, and Golden State just don't just let go of games like that. Just leads to competitive series. It just leads to it. Because I will say the one thing I have been the most impressed about with the Celtics this entire playoff run has been their, and it's just honestly, it reminds me so much of young Golden State. Just relentless. They just play. And they're competitive. They just want to compete all the time. Even at times I'm like, I think y'all should maybe chill, let this game go. Might be out of they just keep competing. I'm just like, okay, you boys want it all the time. So I think there's also talk about culture, what's built in. I think that's just also built into both of these organizations, which is also why a blowout outside of being overwhelmed, which Golden State can absolutely do. Outside of that, it's very hard for me to see blowouts happening in this series.
Yeah, agreed. So we transitioned to continuing series that we've had going on for the past couple of podcasts. We are looking at the Super Bowl contenders schedule. We've already done Buffalo, Green Bay, and Buffalo, Kansas City, Green Bay. Now we get back, stay in the NFC, and we go to the defending Super Bowl champion Los Angeles Rams. I'm sure who are excited, maybe a little bit relieved.
Game through game, I just want to say,
go ahead.
Their schedule's hard.
Yeah, we'll get to
like, doing this exercise. I was like, "Oh, this is
they didn't get the Patriot treatment.
Challenging.
Yeah,
you gotta love the Rams to get them to like 12 and whatever, or you gotta love them because this schedule is hard.
Yeah, they didn't get the Patriot treatment.
No, this at all hard. Hard.
So,
yeah.
But the Rams are feeling good about themselves, being defending Super Bowl champions, but also, Aaron Donald inking the 2-year, $60 million extension, which we knew what the deal was. We knew what Aaron Donald was doing, talking about this retirement. Like we knew he was wanting more money. Like
it's just like it all makes sense. It all makes sense. I mean, like, pay me. Period.
Yes. Yeah.
In the story, pay me. And if they didn't pay him, he should just be like, I'm good. Like all of it made, and they should pay. And it makes everything made
sense. Yes, everything made sense. Yep, everything happened.
Did I ever take Aaron Donald retiring seriously?
No,
ever, not for one single solitary second.
No.
Did I ever think the Rams were not going to pay him? Not for one single solitary second. This was the most ABC contract negotiation
ever. Yes.
Yep. Everybody just do the moves you're supposed to do and give the man his money.
Yep.
That's how this. Spoiler alert, that's how this is going. Yeah, he's going to get paid.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So week 1. So give you the quick before we get into it. Just give you the quick oversight as you see on the screen. The schedule rank is number 1 out of 32 teams. This is statistically the hardest schedule in football, and you're going to see why 8 teams reached the playoffs in 2021 in terms of their opponents. This is the non-divisional road games. Tampa Bay, New Orleans, Kansas City, Green Bay, and the Chargers. Non-divisional road games. Over and under was 10.5, and they had the 5th best Super Bowl odds, trailing Kansas City, Green Bay, Tampa Bay, and who's the come on. I might have said 4. Buffalo, Kansas City, Green Bay, Tampa Bay. Yes, those are the 4 that were ahead. Tampa Bay might have been 3rd, whatever. They had the 5th best Super Bowl odds. So week 1, of course, they opened up the season against your Buffalo Bills at home, NBC. I've been consistent with that. I had that as a loss.
Same.
At Atlanta, if you're coming off a loss, no better way to rebound than facing the Atlanta Falcons at home. That's a home game. That's a win.
Same.
The following week and plus they'll have 10 days off in between Buffalo, but they could have 3 days off and beat the Falcons.
Yeah.
Following Sunday, week 3. So right now they're 1-1.
I don't even know who they are. They don't need to break something.
No.
You know who they are.
No, they
got nothing.
They have a great tight end, but that's about it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Week 3 at Arizona.
Yep.
So they get inside the division. I had that as a win.
I actually, you know what? I have them split it, so I gave this one to the Cardinals because the Cardinals traditionally play well earlier in the season.
Right.
That's my
makes sense. Makes sense. No, makes sense.
One, I'm giving
we're both going to have the same record.
But if I'm trying to eke out wins, I'll have them sweeping the Cardinals.
Right.
I'm still trying to figure out if I have them as a playoff team right now.
So
through the schedule,
I had them beating the Cardinals in week 3, so that'll drop them to 1-2. But I had them losing at San Francisco in week 4, so I had them at 2-2 after a month.
I split this one as well. I just can't remember what the split was, so I'm fine.
Well, I mean, if you had Arizona winning, losing,
I think I had them going back. I think I had them winning this one. Yes, okay. I agree. Yep, I had them winning this one.
So week 5, week 5, they will host the Cowboys. I had that as a win.
I had it initially as a loss, and I was like, if the Rams are going to be the team that people are telling me they are this year, then I flipped that to a win.
Week 6.
They gotta win it. They gotta win that game. They have to.
Yeah. No, that'll be a big game. Week 6, hosting Carolina. Had that as a win, so I had them right now through 6 weeks at 4-2.
Yep.
Through 6 weeks. Week 7 is a bye, and then they go host San Francisco. I also had that as a win, so I had them splitting with San Francisco.
I think San Francisco is going to be more. They'll be more identified what team that they are. Of course, if there's no Debo, if something like that, then this is an L. But I put this as a win for the Niners. Okay.
So I had them through 7 games at 5-2. Week 9 at Tampa Bay, I had that as a win.
That's a loss.
All right, so I had them 6-2 through 8 games. Week 10 against Arizona, I had that as a loss.
That's my W for them.
So they had 6-3. Then they go at New Orleans. I had that as a win.
Agreed.
At Kansas City, back-to-back weekends, I had that as a loss.
Yep, agreed.
So at this point, 11 games, I had them at 7-4 through 11 games. Week 13, I had Seattle had that as a win.
Okay.
Vegas back-to-back home games, I had that as a win as well.
Hey,
Now that's very tricky because that's a short week.
This 4-game group, this is the one I got really, because it's so challenging not knowing what the Broncos and the Raiders
are
ultimately look like. So I think if I'm giving it to them, those are the two I'm giving. But I really think they lose one of those games, but I couldn't because I'm giving to anyways. We're getting ahead. So
well, I mean, listen, from a
I agree
schedule
with the L on that, but we're just making up it anyway as of right now, just based on information that we have. I'll give that an L, but boy, am I not confident in that. I mean, a win, but boy, am I not confident in that.
From a schedule standpoint, that's very challenging because it's Sunday to Thursday, so the third but
I'm not confident in that one.
But the thing about it, both those games are at home, so they don't have to travel.
Yeah.
So that made it easier for me to make that pick. So I have them after 13 games at 9-4. Week 15 at Green Bay on a Monday night, I had that as a loss.
Same.
So 9-5. Week 16, Sunday, Christmas, they are hosting Denver. I had that as a win.
Same.
So I had them. That's 10.
I don't feel great about it.
That's
Same.
10. That's 10-5. Week 17 at the Chargers, I had that as a loss.
Same.
And week 18, and I think they will definitely need the game. I think that at Seattle had that as a win.
Yep.
So tally it up. The final record I had was 11-6, and they make the playoffs.
I think as it stands right now, I had them at 9-8.
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm definitely not high on the Rams.
Yeah, clearly.
I need lots of convincing. I do. I need lots of convincing based off of who they lost and who I believe Stafford is.
Right.
And I'm just not. The Super Bowl win didn't convince me enough to me to think, oh, this is a defending champion that I can believe in.
I mean, I believe in them to a certain point.
If they had Green Bay schedule, oh, we talking. Talking. Not with this schedule. This schedule.
This is a rough schedule.
For me, it comes down to what the Cardinals and the 49ers.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Here's the thing with
later
that, right?
Season, and then what Denver and the Raiders look
like.
So
I'm glad you bring that up. So I'm gonna count the uncertain teams, right?
I'm confident in everything else.
There are. Let me see.
As confident as I can right now.
Between Arizona, San Francisco, Denver, Vegas, that's like 4 teams that are uncertain.
Yeah.
And they play Seattle twice.
Yeah. I like Seattle, bro. I do.
So.
But it is division.
It is division, yeah. So, I mean, to your point, yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty between Arizona, San Francisco, Denver, and Vegas.
When you have an out-of-conference schedule, and it's just hard, man.
No, it's hard. Those non-divisional road games are brutal. All those, like, they can lose any one of those games. Like the weakest one probably is New Orleans.
That you got 4 really, really good potential losses. I think I have them losing all 4 of those. I do. I have them losing all 4 of those.
But there's 5 of them.
I have them losing the 4. New Orleans,
Tampa Bay, Kansas City, Green Bay. I got them losing. Yeah, I had them beat. No,
I think you had to beat Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I did. So I had them going in that 2-3 with those non-divisional road games. So I had them losing to Kansas City, Green Bay, and the Chargers. So yeah.
That's tough, man.
That's a brutal, man. I mean, that's Tampa Bay, Green Bay.
So yeah, they're gonna have to prove this. Gotta prove this one to me. I mean, like, I can see them sweeping. Like, if I'm putting them in the playoffs and I'm doing that, I of course I see a big reality where they sweep either the 49ers or
let me do glass. Let's do glass half full real quick, right? So they have a division of uncertainty. We don't know about what to expect out of Arizona, San Francisco, or even Seattle. Like we really don't. We know it's going to be competitive, but there are a lot of big time question marks in that division. All right, that's number one. Two, they have. I'm looking at the schedule. They have one, two, three. So they have three sections on their schedule where they do have back-to-back home games, and they have a home. And the schedule goes into the bye week pretty sweet. To be honest with you, you host Dallas, you host Carolina, bye week, you host San Francisco. That's a nice stretch in terms of getting healthy and not facing that devastating team per se.
Yeah.
In the middle of the season, like that's a nice stretch. Coming off a bye week at home, I always thought is one of the most underrated things that could jumpstart a second half of the season. Like if you and they will enter the bye week at home and come off the bye week at home. Like that's big, especially I'm really looking at it now. Yeah, that's a nice like that. That's a nice stretch as far as, like I said, kind of getting reset, especially if you're struggling, you're banged up and what have you. So they have that going for them.
Where's the buy at again?
Their buy is in week 7.
So
here's the thing. So they're okay. Let me take your schedule. So they will be in essence, they will be at home from October 9th through October 30th.
The game?
Huh?
You said from October 9th
to October 30th, they'll be at home.
Yeah.
So they have Dallas, Carolina bye week. Then they host San Francisco.
Yeah, the San Francisco game is the only one I was waffling. I had to win those other two. But yeah, the San Francisco game is the one that I was waffling on because I'm not sure what they look like at this point in time in the season.
Right.
So that was the only one there. But yeah, I agree with you. I like that stretch, and that might actually be the determinant.
That could jumpstart them. Yeah, that could jumpstart. That really could jumpstart them. But their schedule is.
Yeah, but then yeah.
But then
yeah,
they better if they better make their headway during that bye week, because then you're talking at Tampa Bay, hosting Arizona, at New Orleans, at Kansas City, hosting Seattle, Vegas, at Green Bay versus hosting Denver, then at the Chargers, and then at Seattle. There's really no. Seattle's a divisional game, but there's no cupcake. There's no gimme in the last half of that schedule at all. There's no gimme, not one. From, I mean, really, there's only you got 2 gimmies on the whole schedule. They got 2 gimmies. Atlanta and Carolina.
Rams, Broncos, Rams. I keep saying the Rams. The Chargers, Broncos, Packers, Raiders. Just a 4-game stretch. That's tough.
Yes.
That's tough.
Yes.
At the end of the season too. That's tough.
That's hard. No, that's brutal. That's brutal. No.
That's tough. So yeah, they're gonna need to stack.
Yes, they're gonna need to stack early. They're gonna need to stack early.
This is a tough schedule.
My
NP says they don't make the playoffs. Honestly.
Wow, I wouldn't be surprised.
I was just like, yo, I did not realize it was this challenging.
The only thing about that, I actually think they will make the playoffs. In contrast to the AFC, the NFC is just not that. It's just not deep.
It's not. My only hesitation on this, I've seen this debate. They know each other so well.
Right.
They know each other so well. And I think Seattle's weak man in this division, like very weak.
Yes. Yeah, on paper, yes.
So that's why I gave them those 2 and didn't even think about it like that much. But it's still a division game. But even giving them those 2, I just can't write off the Cardinals or the 49ers in any stretch of the match, particularly against a known opponent like the Rams. That's my only hesitation with that division, because it was the most competitive division until it changed to the AFC West. What didn't change?
You just made me think
knowledge of each other.
You just made me think about that division, right? So I had them at 11-6. You had them 9-8. It would not surprise me the least bit, even if they won that division at 9-8. To be honest with you, I do think it's.
That is
I
not.
don't think.
That
I
is,
just don't think the division
because
is
we
there.
haven't. We're only looking at. We haven't looked at the. You're right.
The other schedules.
That's a great.
I don't
point.
trust. I just
Great
don't
point.
trust the other teams. I think I'm not saying they're bad, but I just don't trust. I don't. I'm like, okay, the Rams are going to come back down to earth, right? They're not going to be as good as they were last year, clearly. But I'm like, who is going to pick up these pieces between this right now going to the season? Like which one of those teams doesn't have some major issue that they could be going into the season with? You know what I'm saying? Like it really should be Arizona, to be honest with you, based on when their early trajectory last year. Like Arizona should be them. But after we saw at the end of the season and into this offseason, like, nah, I don't trust that team.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm not high on the Rams.
I'm like, what is my glass half full for them? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, I can get to 11. I see a world of 11. They got to sweep either Arizona or 49ers for me, because I have them sweeping the Seahawks. And they got to go ham in that NFC West. I mean, that AFC West.
They
got to go ham there.
Yeah.
They got to get at least 2 of them.
Yep.
If not 3. Because I definitely have them losing that Rams one. I mean, the Chargers one. They're both Los Angeles.
Right.
Stupid. If they sweep the Cardinals, then they're definitely in. I mean, like that's not even a question at that point in time. So if they dominate their division, they're good. I think they're good. They just need to dominate their division and split the AFC West. And I don't even know that those non-divisional road games. I don't know. That will, if they're doing stuff
let's look at it this way, right? Let's go through the NFC real quick, right? Even without looking at all the sketches.
Then they are the team we thought they are.
Let's look at the NFC. Okay.
They go like 4-1 against that.
And count count how many teams do we trust to make the playoffs? Put the NFC West aside throughout the NFC. Let's go to the NFC in each division. So NFC East, I say one W. That's a one division. That's a one playoff division scenario.
Yep. And what team is that? Real?
Dallas Cowboys.
Okay.
Yep.
What did you say?
And if it's not, by the way, if it's not Dallas, I think it'll be Philly.
No,
I'm saying no. I'm giving the candidates. I'm giving the candidates who I think could come out that division. And those two right now, those are the two.
Nobody said you was rooting for the Cowboys, real. Nobody said that.
No, okay. All right. Just want to make that clear. The AFC North, Green Bay. That's it.
Yeah. That's it.
I don't trust any of those other teams to be a playoff team. The AFC South, Tampa.
That's it.
That's it. So
in terms of who you can count on, that's what.
There's always right. Of course, there's gonna be some surprises and what injuries, things like that. In terms of,
that's it.
That's it. That's not like that. That's literally that's the thing that they have going for them. Like the rest of the conference is that bad.
Yep. And they're the ones in their division.
Right.
And then there's the one that has potential
for multiple. Yes. Their division, the AFC West does have potential for multiple. Like I can see a scenario.
You probably have like if I don't think the NFC West is as good as it was. So I don't see 2 coming out of there. So then you got the NFC East lessers and the NFC North lessers fighting it out for that last playoff spot.
Right.
Somehow Minnesota sneaks in there, their schedule, or the Commanders could sneak in there. Haven't looked in their schedule yet. I don't see the Giants having a chance in hell.
No, Detroit don't have
So
a chance.
nope, no
Carolina,
chance.
no.
Nope,
Atlanta,
no
no.
chance at all. Atlanta, no chance at all. Just the whole NFC South, no chance at all. Bye. Everybody get out.
Yeah.
Uh so yeah, I mean like you're probably looking at some combination of Philly or the Commanders and I don't think anybody else. I think Minnesota is the only one that could even sniff a potential playoff bid.
Yeah. I agree.
So you're looking at some combination of that for that, unless Arizona, unless 49ers are surprising. Let's just go with that. 49ers are the ones I don't think make the playoffs.
Yeah. Yeah. But regardless, this is a brutal schedule. One of the toughest I've seen a defending Super Bowl champion have in a while. Like
that schedule was significant. That was significant. Because if you would have asked me before looking at it, I said, oh yeah, they'll win 12 games. 11, right. Sure.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely 11. They're gonna earn those 11. They're gonna earn, if they get 11, they're gonna earn them. And 12, whoo, yeah, you're going, yeah. That's tricky.
So to your point, I'll put you this way. If they win 11 games, they can absolutely win a championship.
Yeah.
Like if they win 11 games, they are Super Bowl contenders.
Now this is a man's schedule. They're no, yeah, you are good if you you're good if you make it through this and in the playoff. You're good. Can't nobody say you're not good.
No.
Because you can't just get there beating the bottom feeders.
No. No. There's not enough on there. No.
So you got to win some pretty big games, with some really good competition
on the road.
Win more than field goal, and then that on the road. Yep, all the things.
So that is the Los Angeles Rams schedule. Of course, the defending Super Bowl champions. And we'll definitely see what happens. Haven't decided who we're gonna do next week. I guess Tampa Bay could be on the docket. Yeah, I guess Tampa.
I said I can't even remember. It didn't even matter who it was because it just is what it matters is what it did to my soul. Is they said Bills, Buccaneers in the Super Bowl. I can't remember that. I can't. No. That would be so not fun for me. I don't want that to happen. Yeah, that's horrible. I say I have to say I'm not going to enjoy looking at the Buccaneers schedule. I can already tell I'm not going to be happy with this thing because I do think they're going to win a lot of games. So I'm not going to be excited about this schedule. It is my Fear Brady's well documented. It's well documented. He's traumatized. I'm traumatized by that man. I am.
Rightfully so.
They better not be, but I am. I definitely am.
Rightfully so. So last week, June 2nd marked the 20th anniversary of what many consider to be the greatest show of all time. It's definitely in that top 5, golden age.
I mean, like you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We'll. Yeah. I will argue. I will make that argument for top 5 and feel great about it every single time.
Yes. The Mount Rushmore of shows. The Wire, of course, celebrated their 20th anniversary. Has been which on June 2nd, June 2nd, of course, 2002 came out on HBO, and again when this came out. It tells me how old we're getting because I literally 2002 was a very distinct year for me personally, graduating from college and things of that nature. So 2002, vividly remember 2002, and I don't. So HBO ran season 1 of The Wire on this past Saturday, and of course, I watched every episode even when I was at supposed to be working. I just couldn't I caught it in episode 2 and was upset that I missed the first episode. I didn't even know it was coming on, like that, and from a marathon as a marathon on HBO. But I was like, I couldn't stop watching. Like like literally, I couldn't stop watching it. And I recently watched The Wire because we did our did a rewatch on it, so it hadn't been that long. But you just you learn something new every time you see it again, and it's like it's better than ever in terms of watching it, and especially with season one, the character development, the slow burns of the plots. When you thought when it would no not thought when it clearly would start off slow, first 3 or 4 episodes and what the first 3 or 4 episodes. But it like it is to me the greatest show of all time. It is a show that is just there are things that are just timeless. Like there are books, movies. There's certain things we talked about The Godfather like last couple months ago. There's just stuff that's just is just a work of art, and that's the feeling I got in terms of rewatching the first season. What are your thoughts on this show 20 years later?
Yeah, that's 20 years later is my thoughts. That's a long time. Um, yeah. Now I remember it like yesterday. I always talk to my brother about this. I give him credit as being the one who introduced me to The Wire because he did. I just remember it. The way that I give him, I give it shit about it all the time because it's just like, he was like, there's this show with these cops, but they're like all drunks and they're horrible at their jobs. And they're like going after like crime, but they can't find it, everything like that. I was just like, what is this show that he's talking about? And then when I actually watched it, of course, it's The Wire. It's a million times deeper than any of that. But I always just laugh about how he first described it to me and then what it ultimately unveiled itself to be, and then how big of a fan I became of it. Yeah, like my great great quote that's been said a million times, but we were saying it to each other. I think before it was quoted in papers is just what I talk about. Watching Wire is like reading a book. It's a novelization. It's a television novelization, and it's not even writing that's ahead of its time. It's just writing that's timeless. And that's what you're talking about when you're speaking to shows like this and movies like The Godfather. It's just because the themes are so classical, so nuanced, and it's not stuck in one time period. So, for an example, think about The Wire. Like, even though they're using pagers, it's not about the damn pagers. Like, that has nothing to do with anything. So it's like it's not, the time period doesn't mean anything. What means everything is the subtext of the show, the themes to which it's speaking to, and those themes cross everything, and that's how you make something that's unique and that's special and that lasts over the test of time, and that people are still talking about glowingly after 20 years.
Yeah, I think I mean, there's so many great accomplishments as far as in terms of, I ain't talking about in terms of awards, but just great things it was able to accomplish as a show. One of the things that I thought about was how they changed the depiction of cops and criminals. Like, there was this idea of a cop. There was no like there. We seen it in movies per se, with in terms of organization, but we didn't see in terms of
example on your thing, Law and Order.
Law. Yes.
Keep going. Yeah, I just want to give
No,
you.
I'm saying so. Basically,
Law and Order.
Basically, characterizations were black and white with cops and criminals, like stereotypical criminals. This just over the top. Over the top and boisterous and blah blah blah. The cop, the heroic cop, so on and so on. From that standpoint, The Wire blends everything from that. You have the criminals who are as who are sophisticated, can be sophisticated and organized and what have you. Then you have cops that, you know, had are pieces of shit from, and they, you know, like it's just like it. I've never seen that mix in terms of characterization. Like there's just no, it was no. See, again, we've seen a lot of cookie cutter shows up until that point. Go ahead, you were about to say.
No, I was just gonna say it added nuance, and that
Right.
is the
Yes, that's a great word.
that's the underlining theme of anything that is special. It if you are just presenting caricatures, then you're not nuanced.
Right.
The nuance is the humanity and the truth about all human beings, no matter what the label we put on anybody, is that we are all way more complex. There is no just good or bad.
No.
All way more complex. And so any show that reflects that is going into the nuance. Of course, every police officer depicted in whatever is not going to be the moral ideal. And of course, every person who commits a crime is not the base bottom of society. There's a lot of nuance in that. And that's what The Wire showed over and over and over again, no matter what character they were dealing with.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you, and
it came from a real place. That
yes.
I mean, that's the secret sauce. It came from a real place. The reason they could write so well on it was because it came from a place of lived experience. And that's honestly why that's what the whole Wire is about. That's what they're talking about more than anything else, is that you can take a snapshot of any subgroups: cops, firefighters, chefs, teachers, hedge fund managers, businessmen, whatever you want to, whatever. You take a snapshot of that. You take a snapshot of single mother, nuclear family, rich kid, poor, any snapshot you want. You could take a snapshot of them. But if you look at that snapshot and make that the whole picture, you're missing something. The only way you get the full idea of what somebody is going through and what their experience is like is to live in their shoes, is to live in the city, is to be a part of the city, is to understand the struggles of the city. If you understand the struggles of the people in the city, then you understand the struggles of what these individuals are going through at their jobs. It's a rich, multi-deep, complex show that cannot just be layered, even in our layering of it, in caricature. There aren't enough words to talk about this show. There aren't enough ways to break it down in sound bites. Again, it's a novel that played out on TV. So you need all of the words and all of the ideas and all the thoughts and expresses to do that. And that's the most important part of The Wire, is that it also interacted and challenged the viewer in their ability to pay attention to nuance and to detail over a long period of time, over stretches of seasons.
Yeah, I mean, it challenged the viewer in a way that no television show has ever challenged the viewer. Like I said,
well, definitely not up until that.
Up until that point, and I would say even to that, even now, like no, like in terms of challenging the viewer.
There are a lot of shows, bro. There are a lot of shows.
A lot of shows, but challenge the viewer to that.
Atlanta's fantastic at challenging the viewer.
Huh?
Atlanta's fantastic at challenging the viewer.
Yes, no, yeah. Atlanta is on. Yeah,
no, but the compliments, because The Wire wouldn't mean anything if people didn't learn from it,
right,
and create and make better art. That's the whole point. So that in itself is a love letter to The Wire.
Yes. All right. Yeah. No, wholeheartedly.
Creators never meant this to be the best thing ever, which is why they didn't care about accolades like that and different things. They wanted to make an honest show.
Yes.
And by making an honest show, they gave permission to other creators to make their versions of their honest show.
Yeah. So getting, back to just the authenticity of the show, of course, you mentioned they had newspaper writers, they had novelists, they had people that, political writers, and like they covered every, Ed Burns, worked as a teacher. and said that, you know, his 7 years as a teacher was harder than any of his years combined as a cop. He said that. So they had all those areas covered. And also, we're talking about the show being shot in Baltimore. A lot of that cast, about a number of those cast members were from Baltimore. Like they had a lot of they had a number of Baltimore actors. So like, you know, even the ones that didn't have some of the bigger roles per se, you know, from that standpoint. But they had, I was just looking at the IMDb, and I was like, dang, okay, so he's from Baltimore, she's from Baltimore. So they
Real. It's roster construction.
yeah.
They knew what they wanted from their show.
Yeah.
They created a roster around it. It wasn't about getting big celebrities and stars.
No, I didn't know. I didn't. You bring that up. The only people that I knew about that, I mean, we have seen some people before. But the only person that I didn't know, the dude Frankie Faison played Commissioner Bell. He's the only dude that I like because he had been around so long. Like from, you know, he had been around. That's the only dude that I was like, oh, okay, I recognize him. But no, to your point, no, you know, no big actors. No, not at all. All those faces were fresh, especially the ones from London. You know, Dominic West and Stringer, Idris Elba. So no, all those faces were fresh. We didn't see, none of these actors were known at all, for the most part.
Think about it, Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan was a bit part.
Yes, a bit part in season. Yeah, once right. Yeah,
characters they killed off in the first season.
First season, yes.
Jordan. They killed Michael B. Jordan off.
Right.
First season.
Right. Exactly.
That's how deep the roster is, and that's how deep the actor bench was.
Yeah. No, look, it's like I said, it is a novel. It mixes, the gods and the Greek and the Shakespeare and the Greek, and all that is wrapped into there. The show has everything. The show has everything. Again, and you know what? I noticed the second I was watching it on Saturday was how much. And you started. I think you were on this during our rewatch. Like, great. The actor did great from it, but McNulty was. I really got less and less. I really liked McNulty less and less. Like I really like this dude. I'm like, this dude was.
It's that nuance that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Right. Like once you break down, and then in the nuance in our understanding of policing has grown since The Wire has ended. Right. And so like a lot of things that went over our head at the time, and of course our lived life experience has expanded since we're talking 20 years ago.
Right.
We were very different people 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And so, or our life experience is very different 20 years ago. And so again, that's what makes the show timeless, right? That's what makes it timeless. Is that now that we have some of that, we go back and watch The Wire, we view different characters differently. But because they wrote it and played it so well, those attributes are there for us to see. They were always there.
Right.
It's our perspective has changed. The McNulty character hasn't changed in 20 years.
No.
We've changed. The world's changed. We know this. He was saying that 20 years ago. The writer was saying that 20 years ago. The acting was saying that 20 years ago. We were just at different places.
Yeah. Yeah. I was like, this dude, it was beyond the fact that, the asshole part, but I'm like, you really, it was all about you. It was like, it was like, fuck everybody else. This is about me. It's about me and only me. Like McNulty, if I gave a basketball comp to McNulty, I guess it would be like a high volume shooter that's going to get 30. You're going to get 30, but you're going to take a lot of fucking shots. A lot. So, but again, if you haven't seen The Wire, I don't know what to tell you if you haven't seen the show. Please, like if you're gonna rewatch any series, this is the series to watch. And like you again, for those of you that have seen it, of course, you know what I'm talking about. So again, it's amazing 20 years. And again, this show is a timeless work of art. No two ways about it. All right, biggest disappointments of the week. Have two here, and one was came late today actually. Jack Del Rio. So Jack Del Rio, the defensive coordinator of the Washington Commanders,
what do you do?
Had some interesting tweets about January 6th and the insurrection, and basically, so he makes these comments about the insurrection being basically a quote unquote dust up, and basically said that why it's nothing compared to what transpired in 2020 with the riots or across the country and what have you, and the destruction of personal property. As a matter of fact, here's what he said exactly. I have it right here verbatim. Right here, on the tweet. Would love to understand the whole story about why the summer of riots, looting, burning, and destruction of personal property is never discussed, but this is in hashtag common sense.
Word. Oh, maybe it's because people storm the Capitol. Maybe that's doesn't happen a lot. It's going to be a topic of conversation. Sorry, Jack. Sorry.
Jack went on
to notice that type of thing.
Jack went on to do not even backtracking, but to, I guess, call this an apology today. He said, I made comments earlier today in referencing the attack that took place on the United States Capitol on January 6th, 2021. Referencing that situation as a dust-up was irresponsible and negligent, and I am sorry, Del Rio said in a statement posted on Twitter. I stand by my comments condemning violence in communities across the country. I say that while also expressing my support as an American citizen for peaceful protests in our country. I have fully supported all peaceful protests in America. Love, blah, blah, love and respect my fellow coaches, players. I work with opinions, blah, blah, blah.
What? Shut up. No, I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I love and respect. Shut up. Just shut
up.
That's worthy.
Here's the thing. I mean, there are 10,000 different ways that we could tear this apart, and just pick apart what he's talking about. I'm not even going to the whole riots and compare. I'm not even going to that. This is my thing. You're clearly a racist, right? You're clearly a racist. Just don't fucking apologize. Own your racism. You're gonna be a racist. Be an authentic racist. We don't need your apology. Don't backtrack. Because you're not even backtracking, because you're standing by your original comments. So it's just no, man, don't. Yeah, you on that side of America. We get it, and trust me, you're amongst 70 million people that voted for Trump in last election, and so on. I don't even care about the fact that you're a racist. I really don't. Our franchise has been breeded racism. It'd be unusual if you weren't. If we didn't have racist people in that organization, that would be unusual. So that part of it, whatever. That is what it is. You are who you are. But man, don't come in. Don't do the fake apology or the for TV apology. Come on, man. What are we Come on. We've seen your true colors. You've shown us who you are. Cool. Whatever. I don't. Yeah, you are who you are. So that's the whole thing about it. To me, I don't. I don't know why you're even tweeting, for that matter. I really don't. I don't know why you're tweeting. You should be worried about our defense. Why are you even tweeting? So, what are your thoughts?
Way more simpler than that.
Right.
People are constantly saying to players, "Shut up and play ball." You're
right.
Whatever it is.
Yep.
So my response to this is, our OTAs going on? Isn't this
Exactly.
time? Don't you have things to be doing, sir? Shut up and coach. How about that?
Yes.
Don't nobody care about this.
That's what we're gonna call. We're gonna call this podcast "Shut Up and Coach." We're gonna
Yep.
call this. We're gonna title this episode "Shut Up and Coach."
Yep. How about that?
How about that? I love it. I love it.
Things are going on in your sport. You need to be doing a lot of coaching over there. How about that?
Yes.
Focus.
Yes.
Focus.
Because by the way,
January 6th and what's going on got nothing to do with you. You need to focus.
Not at all. Yeah.
Don't get that team in the playoffs. How about that? Prove that defense. What is he? What is he to you all? Is he linebackers?
No, he's a coordinator.
He's a top.
All right.
See, I was trying to give him less responsibility.
No.
I was trying to give him less responsibility. He's the assistant you need to be coaching. You need to be studying. Assistant coach. What are you doing? Not watching the news. You got a lot of work to do. That team's got a lot of work. Worry about January 6th. You better worry about this upcoming season. Worry about how to get that defensive line performing up to the standards we want them to perform at or expect them to perform at. That's where we need your opinion, not on January 6th. Not at all.
Oh, man. Yeah, man. Yeah. Shut up and coach.
Your weak ass apology out. Get out of here. What? Go. Just go away. Go.
Yeah, man. He's the defensive coordinator. Nah, brother.
Yeah, you got work to do.
You got a lot of work.
I need you to focus. You
got a lot of work to do. You have a lot of work.
And honestly, the Commanders' PR team has a lot of work to do too. They don't need to be dealing with this bullshit. I know they was like, what? Jack, he did what? Why? We don't got enough to deal with? Right. That owner? I need the defensive coordinator to shut up and coach. How's that? My job, making my life harder for no reason. Yeah. There's a lot going on the Commanders. Yeah. You're the last organization that need to be commenting on what's going on in the country. Just focus.
We should not be talking about character. You give a point. Character is not. That's not. We're not winning in that area. That's not character. We talking about character.
That's how you get on biggest disappointment. You manage wrong person, wrong message. Like a whole thing just wrong.
Yes. Yeah.
That's how you land on biggest disappointment.
Oh man. I did not think that I would be talking about Jack Del Rio in June.
No, I was just I was like, what did Jack Del Rio? What could he have possibly done? That's what he did. That's what he did. Just be dumb.
Oh goodness. So the second disappointment earlier this week, there of course a lot of talk about the discussion of a shortened NBA season. Of course, Adam Silver sparked this with his comments in some terms of saying basically it was something that's being looked into. We know Adam Silver as a players commission. He's been very friendly with the players. So it's like,
well, I can't take that conversation seriously until somebody tells me how the owner's going to make up that money.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Like that. That's the come on now. Let's look. Alan Silver could be the most player coach he wants.
Right. This is not happening.
They still own the team.
Season there's 0.0 chance of the season being shortened.
Unless you can show where that money. If you make up the money, I don't think the owners care. But you gotta show where. No. So if I'm gonna lose $20 million off of these X amount of games or however, where is that money coming back from? How is that coming into my pocket? As soon as I start hearing that conversation, then I'm like, okay, then I can see how we can have this conversation about shortening the season. But why on earth, businessman, just anybody put on their entrepreneur hat, business person hat, Why on earth would I do something that takes money out of my
pocket? Yeah. No. It's such a ridiculous conversation on so many fronts. Like, first of all, to your point, not only
basketball, we're not talking about saving people's lives. Like, come on now.
No.
We're like bad. Like, no, these aren't 20 billion hour work weeks where people being paid quarters. Like, no, we're not. No. So let's
definitely not. You're not.
Let's not make it. Let's not make it. This is simple dollars and cents. The way you get the season shortened is you shorten it, but still have the owners be paid the same. How do you do that?
Yeah,
that is the question.
Right.
So people can say all the words they want to say until that thing is drawn up and people are connecting those dots. Like so and so advertise, so and so is willing to put up this amount of money percent, and start adding that money up, just like we do with contracts, salaries, salary cap, all that stuff. You gotta make those dollars make sense first.
Yeah.
Otherwise, all we doing is fantasy booking. Yeah, let's put LeBron, let's put Kevin, let's put Kyrie, let's put them all on the same. Sure.
Right.
Now, make that money make sense. Nope, can't do it. Bye. What we talking about? So yeah, I agree with you. Until somebody starts talking about dollars and cents for real, whatever.
Yeah. It like here's the thing. You'll hear today's player discuss like, okay, we got to run more. We got to cover more ground with the 3-point shooting. It's more taxing.
Sure.
I heard CJ McCullough and Jay Redick talking about it. And it's like, it's hard playing basketball, but guess what? You are amongst the highest paid.
Yeah. You'll be all right.
So you'll be all right.
Finest medical, finest physical, finest. Yeah, you'll be all right. Private this, private that. You'll be fine. Personal chef. Chef, team training room, even if you don't have, I know I'm not talking, everybody has a personal chef, team training facility, everything like that. You're going to be, in this particular topic, they're fine. They really are.
Here's the thing, like, first of all, this type of talk shouldn't even be going on from the standpoint of your players are missing too many games as it is. Fans don't want to hear that shit.
How do we make all these games matter? As a fan, that's what I care about.
Fans don't want to hear.
I do not want to watch the Clippers without their people.
Exactly.
Golden State without their people.
Yes.
I don't want to watch the two benches play.
No.
At Sunday.
No.
At 3. That is not what I'm interested in.
And fans are not trying to hear about shortening the season. I was thinking about this today. I'm like, literally, if the Wizards were playing like somebody, let's say for argument's sake, my team, the Lakers, right? I would have to, like, of course, probably have to buy a ticket ahead, but with that, you risk, like, LeBron could sit that night. Like, literally, that has to be on your mind if you're purchasing a ticket as when you have a star coming into your home arena. Like, you have to think about that. If you don't have season tickets, you're buying individual tickets, and you just want to see a game where so and so comes in the building and so and so. I gotta check and see if this motherfucker is playing. Like, that's a real thing. So
billionaires do not give up
money. That's how they became billionaires.
That's just not a thing. That's the competitive nature of an athlete is locked in. You can't be an athlete at the highest level and not have a certain level of competitive nature. You can't be a billionaire and not have a certain level of stinginess, let's say. You just can't. Like, those two things don't go together. You want to accumulate as much money as possible. You don't let that go by letting a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit. So a big chunk of money just going out of your pocket for a while, so people can enjoy more and players can feel better about themselves.
Yeah. So, Rob,
$20 million.
Here's the thing.
They'll live. Everybody will live.
Not only talking about the owners losing money, The players will lose money.
Well,
You
that's
think
the
players
point.
will
Like,
give
if like that's the first place, that's why none of this. That's why this. That's why this is the biggest set.
the players not giving them no money.
Because that's why this. Because that's the first place they'll go. Like, okay, I know I'll get my 20 million from all these contracts.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep. That's where we going. And then the players gonna love. Nah, we don't like that. So no, this is this until the money makes sense for everybody involved. What are we even talking about? What are we even talking about?
Yeah. Yeah. Like that, like your number one priority should be keeping your players on the floor. That's what you fix that. Forget about these fantasy NBA shortened. No, make the number one priority should be for players to be playing on, to be actually in games when healthy.
And if that means a shortened season, I'm 1000% fine with that, Real. It's not a topic. It's not even a reality. It's not anything. It's imagination.
Right.
Until the money makes sense.
Yep. Yeah.
So if that's part of it, if it's like, if the benefit is it's a more entertaining season because more to play, perfect, that'll be a great benefit, but ain't nothing happening until that money makes sense.
Yeah. No, that I mean, that's the bottom line. Like that I mean that that's
NFL, you had the NFL the exact opposite, right? You had every argument on the other side of why not to lengthen the season. Then it's like everybody gets more money. Okay.
Yep, we're good. Okay. Yep.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure this out.
We'll figure it out. We'll all figure it out. Yeah, more all that. Yeah, we get more money. Perfect.
Yep.
And that, I mean, it's just that simple. It really is. We could do a deep dive there. It just is that simple. Until the money makes sense, this is not a topic of conversation.
No.
Not the real way.
No.
Yeah, I knew you were going to go here.
So yeah, who won the week? Really was pretty simple to me. I saw this coming. You have a guy, Rafael Nadal, of course, won the French Open, his 14th French Open, which like is that. So to put that in perspective, right? He has 14 French Opens. That's more majors than Agassi, more majors than Ivan Lendl, Boris Becker, Stefan Egbert, Boyan Borg. That's more majors. John McEnroe, Jimmy Connors. That's more majors than all of those guys in their respective individual careers. And those are all those guys are, of course, all-time greats and Hall of Fame tennis players. And he's tied. He would be tied even with French Opens with Pete Sampras at 14. So that's to put that number in perspective. He won his 22nd major, puts him 2 ahead of both Djokovic, his greatest rival, and of course the great Roger Federer, who's still recovering from injuries, from a knee injury. Probably won't be back till later on this year. So he's in pole position to be considered the GOAT based off total amount of majors. Now, again, I think Federer and Djokovic are better all-around players because they're better on other surfaces. Like, even though like Nadal's won 4 U.S. Opens and 2 Wimbledons, but those guys have like Federer's won like 3 different majors, 3 majors 5 times on three different surfaces and what have you. So I think both Djokovic and Federer are probably better all-around players from that standpoint. But right now, this is the guy that holds the most majors in the history of the sport of men's tennis. Serena has 23 and Margaret Court has 24. But this will be third all time if you combine women and men. Of course, number 1 with the men. One of the most humblest athletes I've ever come across, as far as in terms of interviews. Like, I mean, again, I rooted for Federer all those years. I was a Federer fan, but it's impossible to root against this guy. Like seriously, like, in terms of just as humble can be. He really is like next level. It could be his last French Open. He's talked about foot problems, and he played the whole match with his foot fell asleep. Not fell asleep, but he had to get a shot in his foot. So this got a sense that this could be it. And, if it is, Like there's never been a player dominate a surface. I mean, Federer on grass, no. Djokovic on hard court, Sampras on grass. Like no player has ever dominated a surface like this. So he clearly, to me, won the week. Just the longevity too. Like this guy started, he started at like 15 and came along board, he kind of ushered out that Sampras, Agassi, that generation, and then it became the Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic generation, which hasn't stopped in 15 years. Amazingly, one of those threes are still winning majors, and it's just how there's no young dude that's pushing them out the door. So, any you had thoughts on Nadal and his career?
I have no take on this whatsoever. Been a great career. I've enjoyed watching it.
Yeah. Yeah. And like him and Federer, that contrast in style, like server versus return, that made that rivalry special. Like in the fact that he came along and took over and knocked Federer off the perch. So like you remember before he came along, I mean Djokovic is a little bit younger than both of them, and Djokovic in the beginning of his career couldn't win. Like that I think he went like his first 3 or 4 years. Didn't win his first major till 2011, and after coming up short. But Nadal caught Federer at a point where Federer was undefeated. Like Federer won his first like 10 Grand Slam finals, something ridiculous, or 7 Grand Slam finals. Federer was unbeatable when Nadal not only caught up to him and passed him for a period like that. So that to eclipse a guy who we just knew without question would end up being the greatest player and end up passing him in majors. I mean, he's been chasing Federer for about a decade in terms of majors, and finally passes him. Of course, I mean last year with the U.S. Open win, the French Open win, and then to be doing it that long, and but it's just remarkable. So he won the week. So you're feeling Boston tonight?
Yes, that's my prediction.
But close game.
Oh yeah. There's no confidence here. Just trying to read the tea leaves, but there's no confidence here. Golden State could easily win this game.
Yeah.
But my pick is Boston.
I picked Golden State before the game. I picked Golden State in a close game. I do think it'll be highly competitive.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, that's what is as if you don't have a real horse in the race, then that's ultimately the thing that you're rooting for.
I ultimately think when we get
we're
back
doing overtime game. That's what I'm saying.
It'll be great. It'll be great if we get overtime. We are.
We're doing classic overtime. We're just doing.
I think after they play tonight and then they play Friday, I think after Friday, come Saturday, come game 5, we're gonna be back where we started.
I agree with that.
2-2. So I think whichever one happens, I think these teams will split these games.
I agree with that. You know me, I always circle game 5. Game 5 is the one.
And
that's the one that will just tell me if I believe it's going to go 6 or 7. Because game 7s, who knows? Whoever.
Right.
Who knows? You favor the home team, all the different things, all those things, but it's game 7. You just sit there and bite your nails.
Yeah.
And unless you're Phoenix, you actually compete. But game 5 is the one that would tell me. I think if depending upon how game 5 goes, I'll have a very confident read. My anticipation is I'll have a very confident read on the rest of the series. But up to that point in time, I think it's gonna we're in topsy-turvy land right here.
Yeah, should be fun.
This will be significant. Both teams have had time to really look at that tape.
Yeah.
And game plan and practice the game plan. So the adjustments will be significant. I'm not saying they'll be obvious, like big, huge obvious, but they'll be significant.
They're gonna be adjustments because there's some things that there's some everything has not been unlocked. Like there's some things that some still moving pieces, even with like lineups. Like I don't see Golden State even remotely trying to play the pool party lineup. It's just too small.
Way too small.
Too small. Like that lineup, no.
Is that another one where they were light years ahead?
Yeah, they kind of yeah. They say we can play all three of them. Yeah.
That took a little bit less than light years to solve.
It took about 2 playoff rounds.
Yeah.
Or 1 playoff round. It only worked against Denver.
Go to the light years ahead one. I just asked Golden State fans. I'm unclear. Well, I'm just unclear how we decide when we're light years ahead. I'm just unclear on this whole notion.
It worked 1 playoff series. Congratulations. Worked 1 playoff series.
Maybe I'm being too harsh right now. Maybe light years only means 1 playoff series. Maybe that's what it means.
It might be. We might be behind.
We might be so wrong on it. Because the way I understood light years was like a very long time, very long, or very far advanced. Let's say that. So it takes a long time to figure out. Is how I understood.
Oh man.
Maybe it is a playoff series.
Yeah, it should be interesting. Draymond just keeps pissing people off. Like Draymond is he just like it doesn't matter what he said. What he says is going to get talked about. And give credit to Draymond from that standpoint. That's he wants to be a media personality.
It's not even credit. It's just Draymond. It's his who he like.
It's who he is.
Can't ever get mad at somebody. Is giving you their consistent self.
Yep.
He's not like out of all the plays, he's always that way.
Yeah.
Win, lose, draw, impact his team positively, impact his team negatively.
Yeah. He's
always
consistent.
that.
Yeah.
So I can't get mad at somebody for being themselves.
No.
So yeah, that's Draymond. Yeah. He does that.
I don't know. What I'm talking about, I don't know if you heard the comment. Cedric Maxwell, the Celtic great, said that it basically said
very loosely there, sir.
Well, not great. No, so he was very good. He had a very good career. Good Celtic, not great. Why? Yeah.
I was around. He was cool.
You're right. No, good player, solid player, good role player.
Yes.
Good role player. Maybe even a high level role player.
One might say Draymond Green-esque.
Yeah.
His role.
Yeah. That's not.
Cedric Maxwell was not known for biting his tongue. Let's say that.
No. So basically,
like on the court or off the court.
No. It says if Draymond played in our era, I would knock him the fuck out.
Of course, that's what he's gonna say. Yeah. I knew. If you would have said, Rob, what would that quote be? I would have been able to nail that one. I knew that's what
he would have got knocked the fuck out. Yeah, that was
I knew it, of course. So, that's what he would have done it. All he's thinking about is how he would have reacted to Draymond Green. Great, Cedric. And nobody would have cared because you were not one of the top players.
No.
You would have knocked out one of their top players and you would have got ejected, suspended for a bunch of games, and it would have been a net positive. Absolutely. Yes. That's why you could do that. Now go talk to Larry Bird. Can Larry Bird just go punch a player just because he's frustrated with him? Means a little bit different if he does that. But right. I get Cedric's point. I get his point. He's a big top guy.
I just, it's I don't, and again, I'm glad I'm in a place in my life where I'm not going to be that guy. I refuse. I'm not going to be the old man on the lawn. I'm just not going to be that dude. I just think there's too much of it.
All have our moments, but
we're going to have, no, it's fine. And by the way, it's fine to have our moments. Like it's certain types of music that I just don't mess with. That's fine. That's my personal taste. I got the title. I got, the title with I have all types of tastes, but that's just certain music I'm not gonna mess with, which is fine. That's why we have variety. That's fine. But I'm not gonna be the guy who just my era and everything from that in terms of like, and again, I'm not a professional athlete, but the old heads, it goes both ways. because they end up both sounding crazy with some of the comments, like, Charles Oakley saying Giannis couldn't start during our time. Like, really, really, Charles, he wouldn't start. Yeah, it gets ridiculous with some of the stuff. I would
I
not
mean,
do the
that's why
fuck out.
Eric commentary is ultimately stupid.
It's dumb. I'm glad it's so dumb. It's like, no, there's no time machine. We can't. Nobody owns a time machine. Like, we can't. It's not. And I'm like, it's beyond hypothetical. It's not going to happen. We cannot compare the eras.
And then you get something ridiculous like Charles. You couldn't guard him.
If your life depended on it.
Guard him. You just like, what? Why? What are you do? Who? How dare you talk about an era?
Yes. Yeah, no, that's the thing. It'd be the wrong dudes talking about it. That's what I'm saying. You'll hear some.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's why it'd be
the Charles Oakley, the Cedric Maxwell.
You can't play in any era. What are you talking about? Like, you can't play now. Like, there's no space for what? What are you talking about? No, like, what? You could have guarded him in your era. What are we even talking about, Charles Oakley? Put him on biggest disappointment. All you know that was. What are you talking about?
Yeah, no, yeah, but it gets ridiculous. It gets like, because it's no middle ground. There's no, like, okay, well, I can see where, if they guard this
how
way.
Would you defend? I want to know.
Yeah, how would you defend Giannis?
Please tell me this unstoppable game plan that would happen in the 90s.
Man.
He's 8 feet taller than you, a billion times more athletic. Please share. Please. I'm all ears on this one.
Yeah.
Giannis? That's what you went after?
That's what you you just said
James Harden.
No, that's pretty all back. He should have said Duncan Robinson. He should have said Duncan Robinson.
Yeah. No, not Giannis. No. That's
not the best player in the world. No, not the best player in the world.
Nope. Disqualified for this conversation immediately.
Yeah.
Giannis.
Yeah,
How dare you?
Yeah. Yeah, Giannis.
I'm really acting like I just heard this for the first time, but I'm just really hearing it for the first time. Listening versus hearing. I'm just really. What did he say? He couldn't start?
He wouldn't start.
Yo. What?
Yeah.
What? Yo.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You just saying any hot take you can think of at that.
Yeah, no, that's what.
Yeah, what? Giannis couldn't start? He can't start. Wow. Yeah. Okay. All right. Sorry for wasting so much time on an old comment. That is a take. That is one. That's a take to have.
That's where we're at with this generational divide from that standpoint. That is where we're at.
Wow.
I think that.
Wait, hold on. No, I have to go. Sorry. So in this universe, Charles Oakley is starting over Giannis?
Yeah.
That was happening? Okay. All right. Okay. I just want to be clear. Gotta love the confidence of an NBA player.
Oh, good. Oh, man.
Gotta love it.
Yeah. No.
Gotta love it.
Yeah. Yeah. One last NBA thing. So it seems like the Utah thing is clearly that's kaput. Like, Quinn Snyder was like, deuces.
Yeah.
Like, coaches don't quit like that. Like,
they maxed out. They just said
they maxed, yeah, and he knows they maxed out. Yeah.
Yep.
No, that's jumping off the ship before it crashes. In essence.
Yep.
Like, yeah, let me get out of here.
It's been real, guys. It's been real.
We did. Yep. It's been real. So
playoff series together. We're good.
Yep. I think I expect it wouldn't surprise me if they went to complete rebuild and traded both Gobert and Mitchell.
I 100% agree with that.
Would not surprise me.
That's why you quit. Of course, if you coincided, that's why you're jumping off this ship. Like, that's the only course of action at this point in time. If you've maxed out, you got to tear the thing down.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
rebuild. It'll be one thing if you knew Donovan Mitchell was bought in,
Right.
but he's not.
He's not. No.
So
No.
yeah, you
No.
get all the assets and everything you can. You
Yep.
take that thing apart.
Yep. Yeah.
For like what? For what? To hold on to
Rudy
getting
Gobert.
first round?
Yeah. To hold on. Yeah.
Or
If
maybe
that,
you went for
if
what?
that,
For what?
yeah.
No.
If that, yeah. No. No. If that. Yeah. Yeah. To be basically close to 500 every year. Like, no. No.
And you're Utah.
Yes.
You'll
And
be
you're
fine.
Utah. Right. Right.
You'll be fine. The press is not gonna. No. The
No.
city identity is not
No.
tied.
No.
No. None of that. None of
No.
that.
They care about
Fine.
BYU football and Utah football. They even that. So they're
It just the identity isn't tied to the Jazz. It just won't have that. Like that's always the argument or the talking point that I have with Chad over why the Knicks why they are just the way they are is that he brings up all the time that it's New York. You can't just yada yada yada. You can't just be smart and intelligent and reasonable as a franchise, apparently. But the other big part is New York. That team can't be a bottom feeder. It can't be perceived as a bottom feeder.
Right.
You always
like the tanking and all that. They don't. Yeah, that don't fly. Right.
I say that to say that's not a Utah problem.
No, that's a complete opposite. Total opposite.
That's not a Utah problem.
No, that's not at all.
So tear that thing down.
Yep. At all.
The game started.
Yep. All right. All right. Take it light, man.
All right. Have a good one.
You too. That's going to wrap it up for this latest edition of the Real Deal Podcast. Enjoy the game. I will see you next time. Have a great, great rest of your evening.